You know the power of social media. You also know how important it is to stay top of mind with your clients and to be able to engage and build relationships. And I know that you have a ton of ideas for how to do that, but there's something stopping you. I want you to join me in this week's episode to learn more about what it is that is stopping you from showing up and how to overcome that social media anxiety. Hey, I'm Michelle Reese, founder of the Align Agent Academy, where I get to help agents like you create a multi-figure business by increasing productivity and reducing the overwhelm. And today, I'm going to show you how. Hey there, and welcome back to this week's episode. If you're new here, I just wanted to give you a big welcome and also remind you before we dive in to hit that subscribe button that you see on your screen and also to take a minute to join the free Align Agent Facebook community. This channel and the community are a great place to learn easy strategies for growing your business with less stress and overwhelm. And today's topic is a perfect example. You know that social media is a powerful tool, right? We see this every day with our colleagues, our friends. They're sharing posts, they're sharing videos, they're doing business as a result of the leads and those connections that they're making through social media. And yet, instead of us showing up excited by this potential, we end up feeling anxious and stressed. Now, I get it, right? Let's face it, our industry, our entire profession is all about image. It's all about perception and it's all about psychology. There is this unspoken pressure for us to be able to show up in a certain way and to be able to create this perception that we're cool, we're calm, we're powerful, we're knowledgeable, right? We feel like we have to be it all and know exactly what to say and how to say it. We also feel like we have to look good and look successful, right? And it's this idea of what we have to be showing up as that's causing the stress and anxiety. And that's what's making it really hard for you to show up and use social media as the powerful tool that it is to grow your business. Now, before I dive in, I'd love to know if you are struggling with social media, what is causing you anxiety and overwhelm? So whether you're here watching live or whether you're watching this on replay, let me know in the comments right now, what is causing you that anxiety and overwhelm when it comes to using social media? I can share with you that there's three pretty much main things that I see consistently for people that is showing up, that is holding them back from using social media for business. And they are how you look and sound, knowing what to say or not what to say, and those vanity metrics. All right. So let me talk about each of these very quickly, and then I'm going to give you guys some actionable tips in order to help you manage and overcome them. So let's talk about the first one, how you look and sound. I get it. Right? We are hardwired, and you guys will hear me say this so often in my training videos. We are hardwired with three basic core needs. Am I safe? Am I loved? Am I enough? And these three core needs show up whenever we embark on something new, because that's what happens. They end up getting triggered. Now, what's interesting is our survival has always been about belonging and connection, right? Think about it. If you didn't belong to a community or a tribe and you were alone and it was the hunter-gatherer days, right? This was a disadvantage. That survival mechanism has been hardwired in our brains. But as we've evolved, its importance has changed, right? It's not so much about survival anymore. But when it comes to social media and public platforms, that need ends up showing up more about being liked. And whenever we place an importance on being liked, that fear of what people will think about us shows up. Now, this is the number one biggest reason why you're not showing up on social media, whether it's in video format or written format. It's because you're concerned about how you look and how you sound and what this all means in terms of that likability factor. Now, if this one that I've just shared with you resonated with you, I want you to give me a thumbs up in the comments, because the reality is, guys, we worry too much about how we look and sound. And I get it. I was there. But I now know, and I constantly remind myself that people don't see us how we see us. They don't share the same lens that we share, as distorted as our lens might be, right? I can tell you, I avoided being in photos most of my life because I hated the way I looked. I can go back to certain years of my teenage time, and even when I was having my babies, and I'm always behind the camera, never in front of it, right? Because I always worried that I had a funny expression, or my chin looked too big, or I wasn't pretty enough, or I was having a bad hair day, or I didn't have any makeup on, right? And all of these things robbed me of some really important memories. And for a short period of time, it also robbed me of opportunities for showing up in my business because I would hide, right? And social media was included in all of that. The funny thing is about social media, at least in my experience, is, I would hate the way I looked without a filter. But then I hated when people used filters, right? And then I would hate the fact that I needed to spend an hour doing my hair and makeup, but then I would judge people for showing up like they just rolled out of bed, right? I was forcing myself into a lose-lose situation. And I know I'm not alone, so I don't have the shame in sharing that with you, right? The way to change that, if this is resonating with you, is to really question the thought that you need to show up looking perfect. And really, what does that idea of perfect mean? What does it look like? So really start questioning what that thought is doing to you, right? Do you need to show up perfect? What does perfect look like? And when you start noticing that those are the thoughts you're having, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and do it anyway. Just recognize that this pattern of thinking is what's holding you back, right? It's a habit, guys. And the only way to break free of any bad habit is to do something different, right? Because this is how we've been programmed to operate. Trigger happens, we respond this way, and then we reinforce it, and it continues over and over again. So I want you to notice the thought or the worry that you don't look good enough or that you sound funny. Just notice it, acknowledge it. Then I want you to count to 3, and I want you to do it anyways, because the more that you give into the fear, the stronger that fear becomes. All right, so that was the first thing. The second thing that shows up that stops people from engaging and showing up in their business is knowing what to say, right? We spend way too much time analyzing things, right? Especially when it comes to social media. We worry that we don't have the right words, or that our message maybe isn't as strong as the way so-and-so says it. Or, we can come up with every excuse, and all it does is hold us back from showing up. Hear me when I say this to you. You have value, and your clients and your potential clients are waiting to hear from you. All right. That fear that you don't know enough, or you don't know what to say, or you're not saying it the right way is self-destructive. And it all comes back again to this idea of perfection. So stop getting caught up in the details of what a perfect copy should look like, or whether your call to action is right, or whether you have a strong enough hook, right? You have to learn how to get started on things before you can refine and perfect them. So the best tip that I can help you with this particular challenge and overcoming it is first recognizing that those thoughts are normal. You're going to have them. They are self-destructive. And then finding other tools and strategies. So practice the counting to 3 and doing it anyways. An actionable tip that I can share with you is to start using what's known as an ideal client avatar, an ICA. Now, an ideal client avatar, for those of you who have never heard that term before, is basically a representation of the clients you want to serve. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because it is quite a process. But if you are curious and you want to learn more about how to use this tool, the ideal client avatar, I'm going to leave a link here for a free webinar that I have going on right now. And in this webinar, I dive deeper into the 3 things that you need in order to be successful using social media without the overwhelm, without the stress. And I can tell you that an ICA, that ideal client avatar, is one of them. So long story short, when you use an ICA, those content ideas start to flow. And when you get to understand, like truly on an intimate level, understand who your clients are, what their fears, their pain points, their struggles, that's where your ideas come from. That's where knowing what to say comes from. So the solution to that challenge of not knowing what to say or what to post is in using an ICA. Okay, so check out that link for that free webinar. I promise to leave it here. All right, the last thing, the number 3 thing that holds most people back are vanity metrics. I know I don't have to tell you about the vanity metrics, right? We all want them. And I tend to have this love-hate relationship with them because, it's important to know what your audience and your follower list actually looks like, right? It's important to know what their age, their gender identity is, where are they coming in from, right? What is their location? When are they most active on these social media platforms? All of that's important. It's also important to get feedback on what people are responding to, right? When those are those likes and comments and shares and saves. But the metrics that you see on social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook are not a true reflection of what people are actually resonating with. And here's why. You have no control over who is seeing your posts, okay? You have no control over who's seeing them. You think your followers are seeing them, but I can guarantee you that they aren't. And it means nothing that you got 1 like or 100 or 10 views versus a million views. The number of views does not equate to your value. All right, we have to stop looking at vanity metrics for validation because it's not healthy, it's not productive, and it's also not accurate. Trust me on this. Do you know how many times I can catch myself in a given day looking at one of my posts that I thought was something important and meaningful and that this was really going to make a difference for people, and then I don't see the metrics to match? Like literally almost every day. You know how many times I want to go and delete it or hide it because the shame shows up and oh my God, maybe I said something wrong or maybe I didn't deliver it the right way. And I have to be conscious of that and stop myself because here's what ends up happening. I'll go to an event or I'll end up chatting with somebody and they'll say to me almost always, "Oh my gosh, Michelle, I love that post or that video that you did on whatever topic it was." And it's in that moment that it hits me and it's like, you know, we just never know who is seeing, who is watching, who is resonating, who is absorbing. It's not our business to judge. It's our business to show up and to align with our clients and what they need to hear. So if you're spending too much time focusing on the metrics for validation, you're never going to put yourself out there and share your value. And so I just want you to remember, it's not your job to worry about who's watching and resonating. Don't look at these vanity metrics for validation. It's your job to know who your ICA is. It's your job to understand the psychology behind what's driving them, right? What are their fears, desires, wants, and needs? And then put yourself out there to share that knowledge and the perspective that only you have, because that's what they need from you. So the best tip I can give you when it comes to vanity metrics, guys, if this is one of the things that is holding you back from showing up and causing this anxiety and overwhelm, is to really take them with a grain of salt and don't use the number of views as a reflection of your value. The more you make it about that, the more anxious that you're going to become and the harder it is for you to be able to just show up and be yourself. I hope that it did help to shift that perspective that you have on the fear around social media. And I hope that you realize that you're not alone in the way that you feel, right? All of this is all normal human stuff. And when you can understand how your brain is wired and why we think the things that we do and why we get stuck in certain traps, the easier it's going to be for you to see it for what it is, right? And not make it mean something more. And also the easier it's going to be for you to get out of your head and into action. So I want to know from you, was this helpful? If you enjoyed this week's topic, I want you to give me a thumbs up below. And while you're there, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you don't miss out on next week's episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me back here again this week. And I look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.